Hello students, Standard 7th. The revision in chemistry of chapter number 4, heat. Now, in the last session we learned about the temperature, about the thermometers, like two types of thermometers, the clinical thermometer and laboratory thermometer. Some other types of thermometers are also available, like maximum and minimum temperatures, maximum and minimum thermometer, which measures the minimum and maximum temperature of the day. So about it we don't have to learn in the detail. So now today we are going to revise about the transfer of heat. We know that what is heat? Heat is a type of energy. Now heat is also can be transferred from one object to the other object. For example, if you put a frying pan on the flame, then after sometimes the heat is passing through the frying pan to the food inside, and food is getting hot and it can be cooked. So if you remove the pan from the fire, what will happen? Gradually it will cool down and so it will become colder. What happens? Why does it cool down? Because the heat is transferred again from the pan to the atmosphere. In the beginning we saw that the heat transferred from the metallic pan to the food inside that is having been cooked. So now when we put the pan away from the burner, then it slowly cools down. So here heat is transferred. Heat is getting transferred from one part to the other one. Here the pan is more hot and the atmosphere is less hot. So always the heat transfer from hotter object to the colder object, and that passing of heat from hotter to colder object is known as the transfer of heat. And in fact in all the cases heat flows from a hotter object to a colder object. It cannot go reverse. So maybe you have noticed that when you take bath, if the water is too hot, then you add cold water so that the temperature goes little down and you can take the bath comfortably. Similarly, when you boil the water, make water hot, and then keep that pot open in the atmosphere, the water also cool down. And the heat is getting transferred from the water to the air. So always the heat flows from the hotter object towards a cooler object. Now there are different modes of transfer of heat. In different type of materials, the transfer of heat takes place differently. So there are mainly three modes of transfer of heat that we are going to revise today. And that three modes are method of conduction, method of convection, and method of radiation. There are the three type of conduction are there. So now first of all we will talk about the method of conduction. For that we can understand with an activity. For that what do we need is a metallic strip or a metallic rod. We need some small nails and a candle or the wax, melted wax and a lighted candle also. Now what do we have to do? We have to take a flat strip of metal or a rod, and it can be of aluminium or it can be iron, and fix a small wax pieces on the rod. Or you can do one thing also, that on the metallic strip, what we have to do? We have to take small nails, dip it in the melted wax and stick on the strip at a different distance, and put the strip between the two bricks so that it can remain horizontally. So now as I told you, that you can take the iron strip or an aluminium strip, take some nails, dip them in the melted wax, and then when you put it on it, the wax will cool down and it will stuck on the aluminium or the iron strip. And you can use 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 strip nails like that. Now what we have to do is that take a candle, take a lighted candle and start giving heat from one of the end of the iron strip. Don't move the candle from its place, so that only this part will get heat. So now what will happen? Slowly you have to observe it carefully. Then you will see that after some time the first nail will fall down. Then gradually, slowly, the second, the third, the fourth and the last nail will fall down. They will fall one by one, not all together. Why? What happens? Generally we know that is the end which is starting get hot. So this is the hotter part and the others are the colder parts. So now what happens? The heat is transferred by the metallic elements and it is passing through the next atom and it is coming here. When the heat comes here, what happens? Due to the heat, the wax will melt and that nail will fall down because it is melted wax again. Then again heat is getting transferred. When it comes here, the second. So gradually, one by one, it will not happen that this one will first fall down, then this one. They will fall in order only. Why? Because in this method of conduction, the heat is transferred from hotter end towards the colder end. So slowly the heat is passing through the next molecule, next atom, and thus it flows from hot end toward the cold end, and thus that method is known as the method of conduction of heat by that materials. So the process by which heat is transferred from the hotter end to the colder end of an object is known as conduction. So what is the conduction? The heat of transfer of heat by which heat is transferred from hotter end to the colder end. So that process is known as the conduction. Generally in the solid substance, the method of mode of transfer of heat is done by the conduction method only. You can observe it by doing like you can take a spoon also and hold it in the fire. Then you have to throw it away after some time because the end that you are holding will get hot slowly, and then you won't be able to keep it. So the most of the metal etc. are getting conduction by the heat transfer. So the heat transfer is done by conduction in solids. But what about all the solids? Do all the solids transfer the heat by the method of conduction? Not all of them. You will see that if you are holding a piece of wood and start giving heat from one end, then if you will hold for 10 minutes also, the other part will not get hot. Similarly, some type of plastics and some other materials are also such that they will not transfer the heat by this method of conduction, because they do not allow heat to transfer through them. So we can see that they are conductors and insulators. What are conductors and insulators? Give examples of each. So those material which get hot by the conduction of heat, means they transfer the heat by the mode of conduction, then that materials are known as the conductors. For example, all the metals like iron, gold, silver, aluminium are the good conductors of the heat. So the materials which allow heat to pass through them easily are called conductors of the heat. And examples are iron, aluminium, copper, etc. So mostly all the metals are coming in this category. And the others like rubber, plastic, wood, etc. they are not allowing the heat to transfer through them easily. They are not getting hot so quickly, and therefore they are known as insulators. For example, the plastic, wood, etc. The water and air are also poor conductor of heat. They also do not pass the heat by the method of conduction. They don't allow the heat to pass through them, and therefore they are not good conductor. So they are the insulators. So that is, you can do with an activity also. You can take different materials and hold them one by one in the flame and check whether their other end is also getting hot or not. If other end is also getting hot, then they are the conductors. And if for a long time also the other end is not getting hot, it means they are the insulator. So you can take different materials like steel spoon, plastic scale, pencil, screwdriver, divider, etc., etc., etc. So therefrom you can check that whether they are conductors or insulators for the heat. So that is the thing about it. Now, why is more comfortable to wear white or light colored clothes in summer and dark colored clothes in winter? So generally what happens? The heat is absorbed more by the dark color. Dark color generally absorb the heat, and the light color allow the heat to throw back into the atmosphere. So in summer it is hot, so the white clothes or the light colored clothes, they are passing the heat easily, and therefore we feel cool in it. But in winter we like dark colored clothes. Why? Because the dark color absorbs the heat more, and then we can feel cooler, hotter in our body, and therefore it is done. Now, as we saw that the water cannot get hot by the conduction. It is not a good conductor, but it is the insulator. Similarly, air is also. So now we have to check how the heat is getting transferred in water. For that, we have to take an activity, make an activity. You can easily do this activity in your kitchen under observation of your mother or somebody elder. What we have to do? We have to take some water. We have to take if it is in the laboratory, you can take a flask, glass flask, and put it in the water put water in it, and then we can make hotter. But in the kitchen also you can take any type of utensils with the base and you can fill the water in it. Then what we have to do? Fill 2/3 with water, place it on a tripod or make some arrangement to place the flask in such a way that you can heat it by placing a candle below it. You can do it in your kitchen on the gas stove also. Now what we have to do? Wait till the water in the flask is still. Place a crystal or a potassium permanganate at the bottom of the flask gently using a straw. Now heat the water by placing the candle just below the crystal, and write your observation in your notebook and also draw a picture of what you observe. So now, as shown in the figure here, you can see that the beaker, the glass container is put on the tripod, and from the down the burner is there which is giving heat. Now we have to put first a crystal of potassium permanganate. Why potassium permanganate? Because it is a colored material and then we can see the movement of it. So as soon as the water starts getting hot, then you will see from the flask that small bubbles are going up. With that you can see the movement of the crystals also. Now what are these bubbles? Actually that are the molecules of water going up and coming down. What happens? Generally what happens when we start giving heat to the flask? The water at the bottom is getting hotter. And then what will happen? When they are getting hotter, they are becoming lighter. And along with the heat, they will go upwards. And then the colder water from the top goes down. So there will be a stream like that. And here you can see that heat is not getting transferred, but the molecule of water taking the heat with them by becoming lighter, and they go up. And in place, the cold water from the top going downwards. And so there will be a circulation of water like that, and then all the water will come hotter. So that method is known as the transfer of heat by the mode of convection. So the liquids, generally all of the liquids are getting hot with the method of convection of the heat. So what is the difference between them? In conduction, what do we see? We see that heat is getting transferred from hotter end to the colder end. But in convection, the molecule itself travels with the heat, and then in place of that the colder molecules are coming and then they are becoming hot. So that is the difference between the conduction and convection. So as a result we can show that the method of convection and method of conduction of transfer of heat. Now in the next session we will learn about the radiation and about the sea breeze and the air breeze, sea breeze and the land breeze that we will discuss in the next session. So here we are going to finish the session. We almost discussed all the question of the assignment. So you will write down the answers in your notebook with an activity and the figure also. And in any confusion there, you can write down in the comment section. Thank you.